Hey, we're talking this week about the emotions around the pathway you take. Whatever those emotions are, high, low, good, bad, you name it. You know what I mean. You have emotions all the time. You're probably having an emotional response right now to my shirt, my voice, what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. Today, we're going to talk about some of the challenges around those emotions as you're trying to go down your pathway. All that and more on today's edition of Today's Antidote, the episode which number I can't remember.
Stay tuned for Today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Doot. How was that for the best opening ever? It's 882, isn't it?
783, episode 783.
Yeah. So close.
Close. Yes, indeed. So, how are you doing, Bob? After all of that, I'm sure there's a lot of emotion swirling around in your head.
Yes, so many. Just moving on.
It was just an opening.
It was just an opening. Good news. Can come back tomorrow and try again.
Or you could pause a minute and say, what did I learn from this?
Yes. Write down the episode number. And don't say today's edition of Today's Antidote ever again. It's so easy.
Well, you remember what you had been doing in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Start with the episode number.
Let's keep going.
Fair enough. Everything else going well this morning?
Everything's good. I'm ready for the celebration. I got a good one today.
Oh, all right. Well, let's get going. And all right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast. Each week, Bob and I have a conversation around a topic. This week's topic is your pathway emotions. And for the last 2 months, we've really been talking about your pathway and all the things that can happen along your pathway if you choose to take them. Or you can just keep doing what you've always done and see if you get different results. And so as we go through that conversation today, as we talk about the challenges of your pathway emotion, please feel free to share your thoughts and ideas in the comments, because we know it'll add value to our show. And at the end of the conversation,
it's one of those days.
At the end of the conversation, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, our today's antidote. That thing that we hope will help you figure out how to get out of being stuck, figure out how to take the next step, and continue moving along that pathway till you find the success that you desire. And if you have one thing that you'd like to share, please feel free to share it as well. Even if you happen to be thinking, well, everybody already knows this. It's really, this pretty simple to me. So why would anyone else need it? Honestly, those are the things that probably you uniquely know based on your knowledge, experience, and perspective. And there is likely someone out there desperately seeking for that information that you think is so easily available. And you'll be amazed at the impact that you might have on that. So please feel free to share your antidote at the end as well. As Bob gave a prelude to, we start each morning off before we dive into our conversation with celebrations. Bob, what are you celebrating today?
You're going to like this one, Tom. One of our most frequent listeners, in fact, she's already ringing in this morning. Beth, good morning. My sister Beth, good morning, Bob and Tom. I get first billing again. You are on episode 783. Great intro. Have a great day. My emotions are trying to find a pathway. And today, for my sister, it is her birthday.
It's Beth's birthday?
It's Beth's birthday. We're having dinner tonight, and my family will be meeting someone at dinner.
Ooh, a new friend of yours.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, a friend of mine. Yes. So,
well, it's unfortunate that you didn't share that information with me earlier. I'd have done something funky and fun for Beth. She is one of our most dedicated listeners. And so I would have had a graphic, or maybe we would have had a video sent to her wishing her happy birthday from both of us. We could have done a whole show and just sent it to Beth around her birthday.
We could have. That.
All right,
Well,
what's the date?
God
February
willing,
20,
there'll be another one in a year.
February 28th.
28th, last day of February. Well, except for every 4 years.
Right. I always forget, is the 28th the fourth year, or is it the 29th?
No, the 29th is
Yes.
the fourth year. Yes.
Well, because I was going to ask, it's like, I don't think I knew anyone who was born on February 29th.
I knew someone. It was really difficult for them.
Yeah.
Because people would be like, you're only 4 years old, when they were really 16.
I think that if that was me as a parent, and
you
we
just
had,
tell them
I
it
would
was the
just be
28th and
"It's
be
March
done.
1st. Your birthday is March 1st. I would even say to the hospital, I know this is probably illegal. Can you just do me this one favor and take the birthday? Or be like, okay, and I know this would be just absolutely awfully brutal to say to the person giving birth, can you just hold on? We got to go today. We got to go the 28th, because we don't want a kid to be born on the 29th.
There you have it.
I'm actually curious if anybody who's listening to the show born on the 29th. I'd be interesting to hear your thoughts about how you do that. Or maybe if I was a parent and I had somebody born on the 29th, I would make sure that on the fourth year, the day the 29th, it was a
big
very special birthday event.
Yes.
Interesting.
So,
wow. Well, happy birthday, Beth. I hope you enjoy the day.
Yeah. Typically, she takes off of work and
Nice.
does things. Yeah. So
Where are you going for dinner?
We're going to dinner at my mother's retirement community. They have a nice restaurant, and we'll be going there. So
Nice.
Beth and her 2 kids, and my mother and my friend and I.
Fun.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Can you order anything, or is it a planned meal?
They have a menu, but it's a nice menu. There are lots of good choices. There are 5 or 6, maybe 7 restaurants. This is my favorite.
7 restaurants. Wow.
Well, they have like 2,500 people living there.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's sort of like a dormitory for older people.
Fair enough.
There's some partying that goes on. Friday night, there's a piano player.
Or it's like a resort.
Yeah, it could be like a resort. Yeah, they have the puzzle out on the big table, and there's a crafts room, and there's a library, and the aquatics, and you name it. It's not the worst way to live the later years of your life.
Fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool.
So, may I talk about the topic?
Do I get to do a celebration?
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Celebrate, please.
I am going to celebrate Beth's birthday. Woo! That is worth a double celebration today.
There you go.
Very
We'll do
happy
very
for
many
you,
double
Beth.
celebrations.
Happy 29th birthday, Beth. Go out and enjoy the day.
That's right.
Okay, now you can proceed.
Okay. So we're talking about our emotions on our pathway. And you and I have been talking about this on the program, and we've been talking about this a lot off the program as we
Here
try
comes
to
a big
figure
question.
some things out. What's that?
So here comes a big question. I better get a drink.
Wait, I got my sister has a comment, so I'm going to jump in with that first. Thank you for the birthday wishes. If I was born on the 29th, I would celebrate on the 28th, according to my parents. I'm enjoying my day already. You were the first to wish me a birthday. I'm 55. So there you go.
Nice.
There you go.
Excellent.
So every time she drives down the highway, she'll see her age. They even
If
wrote
she
a
drives
song about it.
55.
I can't drive 55. Yeah.
Right, so she would then never see it, because if you can't drive 55, how would you ever see it?
Good point.
You might see the sign, although I'm not sure that the people who don't drive 55 ever see the sign.
Those signs are wasted.
Right. It's a suggestion.
If even that.
Yeah, correct.
An optimist belief about highway design.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh my. So we're talking about emotions on our pathway. We're all on a pathway, whether we're trying to accomplish something simple today, like I want to get to work on time, or something complicated, like I want to, build a business that I'm proud of, or I want to be a millionaire, or I want to double my staffing, or whatever it is. And through the course of that, we have a lot of emotions that come up. They can be, oh man, this is so easy. This is so difficult. I hate this whole thing. It's so frustrating. Everyone else is doing better than me. Why is it taking me so long? I could go through a list on and on and on. Okay. We have some challenges. Those emotions provide us a big challenge. I'm going to hit you with the big question, Tom, that I'm trying to wrestle with.
Is it a big or just a question?
It's a question.
All right.
So
let's hear it. Are you trying to stump me?
No.
Okay.
I want your honest insight on this.
Okay.
So often when I'm caught up in my emotions, I'm caught up in my past, not the present.
Okay.
So for instance, there's a job that in my past that I really, really enjoyed. It was really, in so many ways, a great fit for me. Some things happened and it no longer became a fit for me. When I think back to that, I have a lot of I should have, I could have, I would have. Why didn't I? Why didn't they? And I find myself from time to time when the days get difficult, when work gets difficult, thinking back to that and going, boy, I should have done this, done that, done this. And that's all emotion, right? That's all. It's not tactical.
Yeah.
It's if I had been this way, if I had been that way, if I'd done these things, if I hadn't done that thing, if I had, the first day there, if I'd done this thing. I remember thinking that a couple of weeks ago. So how do we deal with our emotions and not get stuck in the past, but also learn from them? Because I think there's a learning that can go on there, but I know for me, I needed some distance. And I see the things that matter to me more and more in my life, getting past them to the lesson stage takes longer and longer. If it doesn't matter to me, it's like, oh, you know what? I blew the opening today. Whatever. By 8 o'clock today, I'm over it.
Okay.
Really?
Okay.
It'll move by 8 o'clock today. I will be worried about bigger things. And then I'll worry about them, and the emotions around those big things will crop up and they will supersede the silly opening I did. Unless someone says to me later in the day, hey, Bob, that was the worst opening ever. What were you thinking? Then I'll go back to that. And I think so much of my emotions are wrapped around other people and what they say to me or what they don't say to me, and so little about what I say to myself. Sometimes. Other times when I'm by myself, my emotions get the best of me in the sense that I tend to take a more negative view of the things I've done. You've seen it, oh, how'd that go? Well, I give myself a B-. Oh, really? How come? Well, it sounds like it went pretty well. I think I'm someone who wants everything to be an A+, and anything short of an A+ is a disappointment to me. And then that just starts the emotion train of negativity. And before I know it, that affects everything for the rest of the day.
Okay.
Wow. That was really.
Is there a question in there?
How do we manage that?
I sort of feel like I was like a politician being asked a question by a reporter whose question was somewhere wrapped in a 2-minute.
I was trying to give the context.
Okay.
Because I think sometimes we talk theoretically about these things. And I think at times it's good to put teeth on it and say, this is real. This is what it looks like. And I'm going to guess that some of the people, maybe all the people out there are like, oh, I do that all the time. So
how do we manage the emotions?
How do I manage them, and how do I not get stuck in the past? Whether the past was really good. I really aced that sales call yesterday, and then I get up today and do a sales call, and it's lousy. I was so great yesterday, and then I dismiss what I could have learned today. Or I was really lousy yesterday, and I get up today and go, I'm not going to have any success today because I totally screwed everything up yesterday. It would be easy enough tomorrow morning to come in and be like, Tom, I don't want to do the opening anymore. You do it every day because I really blew that one yesterday. And I think we do that sometimes.
Sure,
We just
we do.
avoid things. How many people have you coached where it's like they're avoiding something because 5 years ago they had a problem with it? 10 years ago. How many people don't do weekly meetings with their staff because they had one bad meeting? And now it's like, oh, no, we don't do weekly meetings. Well, why not? Well, I had that one meeting about 4 years ago, and I've never recovered.
Okay. So I think that there's a couple things in there. First is, especially when we're looking at things that have happened in the past, I think emotions are partial. I don't know how to exactly say this. Partial information from what happened. It's not. I had a better phrase for it earlier. But as we look back, we're not seeing the full picture. The emotion only comes up because we reacted to something. We didn't take the time to learn what did we gain from this situation, right? So with your sales call, rather than stopping and saying, what did I learn from this sales call? You judged it. You judged it as an awesome sales call. This was amazing, which likely led you to believe, oh, what's the next thing from that? I'm amazing. What's the next thing from that? I've got it all figured out. What's the next thing from that? I don't need to do any prep work because I've got it. I had an amazing call yesterday. I'm going to have an amazing call today. And then we get whacked in the face and the call didn't go as planned because it's different. And we didn't stop to learn from this. We just judged it. And I think so often that's the challenge, is that we let the emotion take over and we get stuck in the emotion, which is typically usually just a judgment of what happened. That, as we know, those results are, as I've shared, I don't know how many times, results can change. And so we don't let results change. We get stuck in that result and the emotion from it. So we never take the time to learn. I would imagine, going back to your first example, that while there were amazing things about that role that you were in, if you truly took a deep dive in it, there were also things that frustrated you, that made you feel stuck, made you feel like, and yet you've chosen part of the memory of that. Because maybe you haven't gone back to truly understand what is everything that you gained from that. And what have you gained since that never would have happened had you stayed in that role. So, like one of the things that as my phrase behind me says, what will you do today that your future self will be thankful for? There's also, what have I done in the past that my current self is grateful for or thankful for? Because without that choice or action that came upon us that was out of our control, all these other things wouldn't have happened. Your life would have been different. And it's nearly impossible to say what it would look like today if that was the same. So why worry about it? There's a lot of things that could have happened otherwise. Who knows what could have happened had you stayed.
It's easy to say why worry about it. I find it very hard to implement that.
Because I'm not sure that you've stopped and you've looked and examined maybe a piece of what has happened since then and how where you are now is different than where you were then.
Okay.
Maybe you haven't looked at the full picture of it because you're stuck in that piece of it. There's one little piece or a couple of pieces of it that you valued and that, would it be nice to have today? Sure. And what are the other things? If you were still in that job, would we be doing the show?
Nope.
And that's just one of them of a bunch of other things. Now, does that make things, it's just what's real. Doesn't make it better, worse, whatever. It's just what's real. And I think that we choose to cherry pick either what were the things that were really frustrating about, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm out of that role or out of that action or out of that position. Or, oh my God, why couldn't it just go back to being like that? Because we cherry pick those things that fit the narrative that we want to have, or that we feel like we're stuck in because of an emotion that we have. Like, why would you worry about that if there wasn't something going on right now that caused an emotion? And rather than trying to learn from where that is and gain from all the things that have happened to get to this point, you just go back to a time when you thought things were different and in a way that you preferred.
Different, or I think comfortable, because as I think back to it, there was a point where I felt like I understood things, and if I'm really playing this out in my head, the emotions bubble up most when I'm least comfortable now. So it's like, if you think about it, we go back to, if you go out in the woods and you start hiking and you're like, okay, I started out, I got this really nice ravine. I'm looking over, it's beautiful. And then you go further and you get stuck. You're thinking back to the ravine. Oh, that was so pretty. I should go back there. I should have just stayed there. I think that's kind of what we do a lot in our heads, right?
Why do we do that? Why do we do that?
Well, it's safe. It's comfortable.
What's another reason why we do it?
I got nothing.
Well, the word you used was comfortable.
Right.
Isn't that just a judgment?
Yes.
Based on partial information.
We thought we knew where we were at that point. So if you think about the example, if I do a great sales call yesterday and I come out today and I want to do a great sales call, I'm hearkening back to the great sales call yesterday and going, I want it to be the same as that. The reality is, and I know it can't be the same.
Right. So why do you think
different day, different information, different person? It all changes, just like a staff meeting. If someone's in a bad mood for your Monday morning meeting, it changes the dynamic of the meeting. Someone was supposed to bring donuts and they brought bagels or they brought yogurt instead. Everyone was geared up for donuts. Now they're kind of in a different mood because they're eating yogurt. And so I think, as I'm thinking through this, one of the challenges is our emotions are dependent on so many external factors that we can't control, even though we want to.
Well,
and when I go back and say I really love that job, I'm controlling all the factors, right? I'm saying, boy, as you said, I'm cherry picking, but I'm cherry picking to control it in a way that it's perfect. And we do it with relationships. We do it with friendships. We do it with business partnerships. We do it. I've worked with companies where they're invoicing, but they're never getting paid. And they're like, well, but they're my best customer. Well, they haven't paid you in 5 months. Are they really your best customer?
We don't have to do that. Because if you didn't use the qualifier of best customer, you would look at them differently. If you hadn't put in your head, this is our best customer, so we're going to treat them different. You just say, this is another customer. How are we going to do that? The fact that you said that, best, you said earlier, great sales call.
Mm-hmm.
Then you said bad sales call. They're just judgments. What if it's just a sales call? This is a sales call, and this is what I learned from it. And you know what? What I learned from this, one of the things is, unless I'm talking, and even if I'm talking to that same person again, it's different because we've already had a conversation. The person tomorrow is different. And if I treat them like they're exactly the same as the call today, thinking I've got it all figured out, that's when likely we're going to get results that we definitely don't want. If I just treat it as, okay, here's what I learned. I learned this. So that's interesting. And maybe I'll be able to leverage that somewhere down the line. And yet I go into the next call with an open mind of, this is just another call. What happened yesterday has no reflection on what's going to happen today. You've stopped judging things and make a comparison, which forces you into a judgment. How was this call compared to that call? And so now I'm judging one as better. They're just calls, and they give us an opportunity to learn. Yes, are we going to have emotion from it? Of course. Is it going to make us want to go down that path? Of course. When we then stop and try to figure out what have we learned, we can get out of the emotion. at least temporarily, and now start to see the full picture of what we're getting. Because likely you're defining it based on the results that you can't control. The person on the other end has partial control over the results. Does that make any sense?
It does. It makes a lot of sense. I'm trying to process it in my head as we go. It's easy in concept. Act,
Judgment,
have
easy.
the emotion. Well, act, have the emotion, and then go to what you're learning from it, from the experience.
Which
That's
I
really,
have an answer to that I'm not sharing because that's Thursday's conversation.
Okay. All right. So do you have a one thing?
Yeah, I do. I think it's just emotion leads us to judgment, which leads us to getting stuck often. If the emotion, if our judgments are so one or the other, rather than, or our emotions are one or the other, rather
An
than
extreme, you mean?
The extreme, correct. And on various degrees of it, usually the more emotion we have off of it, the more likely we're going to go into judgment. If I'm able to walk away and like, that intro didn't go the way I had hoped. Okay. So maybe I'm frustrated by that for a moment. But then if I pause and start to figure out what am I learning from this?
Write down the episode number on a sheet of paper and have it in front of you.
Yeah.
Simple.
And does that mean you're always going to remember to do that? Of course not. And does that mean that tomorrow's intro is going to be perfect? Because now you're doing tomorrow's intro, just saying. And does that mean that tomorrow's intro will be perfect? Of course not, because nothing is ever perfect. Does that mean that you have an opportunity that it could be different from today? Of course. If you take the time to learn, if all you get stuck is, oh my God, that opening stunk. And if we had never gotten to that point where we were having this part of the conversation, guess who was definitely going to do the introduction tomorrow? Yes. It's the same thing as like get back up on the horse. Like you fall off. Right. Okay. You fell off your bike. You can either choose, I'm never riding the bike ever again because I stink and I'll never be able to figure it out. And I'll just keep doing what I'm always doing, walking while all my friends are riding around biking. And that looks like that might be enjoyable. Okay. You can choose to do that. I'm not sure you're learning. And again, if we can get to the point where we really are, if we could ever get to the point where life is all about learning. And yes, there's feeling that happens, there's emotion that happens, there's all these other things happen around us. Think about how interesting the world would be if people were focused on what they could learn, not the emotions that any of these actions take on. That would be my one thing.
Okay. So it's funny we're talking about emotions. I was watching some TV show on, I think it was Netflix, maybe. I can't remember the name of it. I'm totally blanking. But the character's mother had died. And her therapist said to her, take 5 minutes, set your watch or your timer on your phone, and cry for 5 minutes. And really cry for 5 minutes. And then in 5 minutes, pick up pieces, go. And I think that's kind of what we're talking about here. Have the emotion. You can't avoid it, but confine it to a set amount of time. You know, I'm good at beating myself up about things for, as long as humanly possible and then some. If I can, okay, the opening didn't go as I planned. I'm frustrated by that. It annoys me. It's going to sit electronically for the rest of the time, and I can be really mad about that. Or I can just say, you know what, whatever. We've done 700 some odd of these. They're not all going to be perfect. And then come back tomorrow and write down the thing and let that emotion. I think what I've always done in the past is tried not to have the emotion.
Yes.
But I think that only makes it more extreme.
And it's going to pop up more often. And again, not to make
light of least expect it too.
Yeah. And not to make light of someone's, the situation you brought up is life-changing. Someone's parent dies.
And things could be the same way in business.
Of course.
I know someone who does $15 million machinery deals, and he does sales pitches to medical facilities, and they're like big. Like if he gets one a year, that's a great year. So
A year.
these are big, big deals to him. And so it magnifies.
It does. And it makes him for him more. He said, how many times did you say big there? 3 times.
Yeah.
How much emotion does that then bring up, and how much
Oh.
expectation on the back end? If he just said, okay, I'm going in to have another conversation, not trying to close a big deal, it would be interesting how many more conversations he might close. Because I would imagine that if he's going in thinking, this is the one, if I just get this one, everything will be great. I'll be all set. And I would imagine
hit my quota. Yep.
that changes the approach that they have in the conversation, which could be the one thing that throws off the conversation, that doesn't lead to the expected results, which now just makes the next one, makes this one, that didn't go well. That was a bad sales call. So now the next one is even bigger. So it's not just
Right.
big, it's big. More pressure, more stress, less opportunity to learn, more opportunity that you're not going to get the results that you desire. Again, I think that when we start to put those adjectives onto things, we start to either create the emotion, or we're leading up to an emotional response afterwards. That is likely
Right.
going
We
to
live in the emotion, not in the
not in the opportunity to
action.
learn.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think that's, like, I would say so I was in a job as well that I enjoyed, and new leadership came in and they just made a change. And for a while I was angry about it. I was like, I never really got a shot with the new person. They never gave me the opportunity. We had all these things going against us. And for a long time I would think about that. And I was stuck in that emotion a little bit. Yes, I was able to do some other things, and at the same time I was stuck. And I think I've come to the point now where I value all the things I gained in that opportunity, things I learned. I wouldn't change a thing about it, except I would have tried to get, if I knew now what I knew, if I knew then what I know now, I would have, I think, been able to move differently through those emotions, not be stuck in the emotion as long as I was. And, things might have been different. All at the same time, I'm not looking back to judge. I'm looking back to try to continue to figure out, what did I learn in each of those situations, and how can I leverage that moving forward?
It's a tall order.
Well, of course. And
Tall order.
And just like everything else, oftentimes you think it's a lot further away than you believe, and that you're actually a little bit closer to it than you think. And that if you start making some small little adjustments, like stop qualifying things as a good call, bad call, it's just a call, I think you start to find your way towards learning a little bit.
I'm going to try today not to qualify anything.
See what it does.
I'm just going to take actions.
And learn from them. Pause to learn from them.
Okay. All right.
See what happens.
All right.
I think if you do that, you'll have a new perspective. You'll still have emotion. And you might be able to move out of that emotion a little bit quicker to get on to whatever your next action is, so you can keep learning.
Okay. I'll report back tomorrow after I do the opening.
Fair enough. All right. Wow, a lot in that episode. That was a little deep. I loved the question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
When Bob did give me a little heads up saying, I've got a big question for you. So of course, big question. I was like, oh boy, what's this going to be? And it was just a question. All right, everybody. If you have one thing that you would like to share, your today's antidote, please feel free to share it in the comments. We would welcome it. Anything you share around emotion and how you deal with the challenges, how you try to manage your emotions, and at the same time, how you allow yourself to have emotions, because they are valuable. Please feel free to share that in the comments. And if you're listening to the podcast and you're not able to share comments there, please join us inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. where we are helping others try to figure out how they manage emotions, how they develop strategies that create systems that allow them to be more confident so they can figure out how to take their next step and create the business or the leadership position of their dreams. So we look forward to seeing you inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.-ish, for our next episode of Today's Antidote. And we'll get to hear how Bob did trying to not qualify things today.
We'll see.
Are you going to track it? How are you?
I will track every time I qualify something.
Okay.
All right.
All right, everybody. Go out and enjoy the day.
All right. Hey, embrace the renegading you and pray for me. It's going to be a wild day. Oh, there's one.
This could be fascinating. You might spend a lot of time just, marking down. I can see you doing this.
Well, I'm doing it on a little sticky. That's probably not the best answer. I should probably get a legal pad.
Where is that whiteboard of yours?
That's whiteboard. The 3x2 whiteboard.
All right, everybody. Go out and enjoy your day. And maybe try not to qualify. We'd love to hear if you'd like to do the same thing and how that impacts you or impacts what's real for you. All right, everybody. We will see you soon. Thanks for listening to Today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.